Welcome to the weekly press briefing of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, where we aim to provide journalists with an update on the latest developments at the court and the opportunity to ask questions. This morning, the Court of Appeals panel in the case of the Specialist Prosecutor versus Salih Mustafa, composed of judges Michelle Picard, Kai Ambos, and Nina Jorgensen, issued the first appeal judgment of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers in a case dealing with war crimes. The appeals panel affirmed Mr. Mustafa's convictions for the war crimes of arbitrary detention, torture, and murder. Mr. Mustafa's appeal was comprised of 9 grounds, divided into 51 subgrounds. The appeals panel dismissed 8 grounds raised by Mr. Mustafa challenging the trial judgment, while granting in part his challenge to the trial panel's imposition of a sentence of 26 years of imprisonment for the 3 counts on which he was convicted. While fully cognizant of the trial panel's broad discretion in sentencing, and keeping in mind that sentences cannot be easily transposed from one case to another, the appeals panel nevertheless found that in cases before international tribunals and Kosovo courts concerning war crimes comparable to those for which Mr. Mustafa was sentenced, shorter sentences were imposed than those imposed by the trial panel on Mr. Mustafa. Accordingly, the appeals panel reduced Mr. Mustafa's individual sentences for the war crimes for which he was convicted, and reduced his overall sentence from 26 years to 22 years of imprisonment, with credit for time served. In pronouncing its judgment, the Court of Appeals panel emphasized that the judgment, quote, is a significant step towards providing justice to victims and ensuring accountability, and that the reduction of Mr. Mustafa's sentence, quote, in no way suggests that the crimes for which he has been convicted and sentenced are not grave. The appeals panel noted that Mr. Mustafa did not appeal the reparation order issued by the trial panel, which awarded reparations to 8 victims participating in the proceedings, and that its decision does not affect the reparation order. The appeals panel also stressed that it had confirmed Mr. Mustafa's convictions for which he was found individually criminally responsible for the war crimes of torture, arbitrary detention, and murder, and that, quote, neither the KLA nor the Kosovo people were the subject of these proceedings, and they have not been found responsible for or convicted of these crimes. A summary of the appeal judgment can be found on the KSC website. The president of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, Judge Ekaterina Trendafilova, on 12th of December 2023, decided to modify Mr. Nasim Haradinaj's sentence to provide for his release on or about 14th of December 2023, under conditions set forth in the decision. In line with this decision, Mr. Haradinaj was released today. The conditions of his release will continue to apply for the duration of the sentence imposed by the Court of Appeals panel, namely for the remainder of the 4 years and 3-month sentence. The president considered that while the offenses for which Mr. Haradinaj was convicted are indisputably grave, there were a number of factors that weighed in favor of modification of his sentence. Notably, the president found that Mr. Haradinaj had an opportunity to reflect on his actions while at the KSC detention facilities, and that the recent report received from the registrar showed that he had abided by the rules of the detention facilities over the past few months. The president further noted Mr. Haradinaj's expressions of regrets and his firm commitment to refrain from engaging in any further acts that could qualify as offenses against the administration of justice, and to abide by any conditions imposed on his release. The president emphasized that if Mr. Haradinaj fails to adhere to any of the conditions set forth in her decision, then the decision will be revoked. In other developments, on Monday, 11th of December, 2023, Mr. Haji Shala was arrested in Kosovo by the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, pursuant to an arrest warrant, transfer order, and confirmed indictment issued by a pretrial judge of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. Haji Shala was transferred to the detention facilities of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers in The Hague on the following day, 12th of December, and his initial appearance before the pretrial judge took place on 13th of December. During an initial appearance, the pretrial judge makes sure that the rights of the accused, including the right to legal representation, are being respected, and that the accused understands the charges against them. The confirmed indictment charges Haji Shala with intimidation and attempting to obstruct by serious threat official persons in performing official duties, both individually and by participating in the common action of a group. The charges relate to alleged meetings with a witness in order to induce the witness to withdraw evidence or refrain from providing evidence in official proceedings before the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. The first status conference in this case is scheduled to take place tomorrow, 15th of December at 9:30. In the Thaci et al. Case, last Thursday and this Monday, former OSC official Sandra Mitchell continued her testimony. On Monday, the 39th witness called by the prosecution in this case, Dejan Jeftic, began his testimony. According to the short summary read out by the prosecution in court, the witness was arrested by armed Albanians in July 1998, some of whom were wearing black uniforms, and was then taken to Budakov. In the same case, on 12th of December, the trial panel partially granted the specialist prosecutor's request to admit into evidence certain witness statements together with associated written records and exhibits. On 13 December, the trial panel granted a prosecution request to order measures to facilitate the in-court testimony of a witness employed at an international organization. At the beginning of the hearing on Tuesday, the defense of Kadri Veseli requested an adjournment of the hearings this week due to the sudden and tragic death of defense team member Andrew Strong. The trial panel canceled the rest of the hearings scheduled this week. The trial will resume on 15th of January, 2024. Our sincerest condolences go to Andrew Strong's family and friends. In the trial of Petr Shala on 11th of December, the trial panel issued its fourth decision on the lifting of redactions or application of new redactions in trial hearing transcripts and their reclassification. With a view to respecting the principle of publicity, the trial panel authorized, among others, the reclassification as public parts of the transcripts of trial hearings held in private session between the 21st of August and the 3rd of October. In the same case, on 12th of December, the trial panel granted a defense request admitting into evidence certain material related to the testimony of a witness. The next hearing in the Petr Shala trial is scheduled to take place after the court's winter recess on 9th of January, 2024. In the case of Sabit Yanuzi and Ismet Batyari, the third status conference took place today, 14th of December. In the scheduling order for the hearing, the pretrial judge asked for the parties' views on the transmission of the case file to a trial panel by 15th of March, 2024, and for updates on when the parties expect to be ready for trial. In other news, the KSC judicial recess period will start on Monday, 18th of December, and last until Friday, 5th of January, 2024. During this period, no hearings are held and some non-essential services are reduced to a minimum. However, the court remains fully functional and work continues across all sections of the KSC. Filings are possible during the recess and, unless otherwise ordered by the judges, judicial deadlines continue running. There will be no press briefings during the court recess, so the next KSC Press Briefing is scheduled for Thursday, 11th of January, 2024 at 2:30 in the afternoon.